Hi. In this video, I'm going to talk about a tool specifically for prototyping called 4D mapping that'll we analyze deeper because it is an extremely interesting tool. And it deserves its own video to explain it. 4D mapping is a tool that we can use to understand how an idea or a concept can evolve in the future. How is this prototyping tool used? Well, normally, it can be either individual or in a group, and the idea is that is something physical. We approach ourselves as being in a kind of ecosystem in which our conceptual idea is in the middle and around it changes emerge that can be the future that might happen. For example, something very basic such as our consumer gets old or they have grown and now, we thought about it for a type of range, but they're growing and now they're older. How does my idea, concept or product evolve or change? That can be an idea. And we keep adding levels. They can be that type of level or we start introducing more difficult levels towards which we can pivot. For example, what happens if there's a global pandemic? Something maybe nobody thought about before, but that it has forced many services or products to pivot, to change or to evolve accordingly. Those are the things to devise. Everything we can introduce that can make our future change and how we'll pivot towards it, so we need to devise different futures and different possibilities that might happen in the future. Such as, what would happen if due to climate change the temperature rises 2 degrees? It affects, or not, my idea, concept or business. What would happen if instead of the government we have now, it changes and there's another government with completely opposite ideas? What could happen? We have to devise different futures and based on that we need to start to devise, well, I'd solve it by doing this, or I'd solve it like that, or I should leave my business and create a new one, or my business should change in this direction, or my product should evolve towards this. And that's what 4D mapping is about. Then, the more we devise, the more layers we have, the more different levels we have, from something quite close, from something that can happen in Bilbao to something that can happen globally. We start creating different options and based on that we have to start to think how our business idea would change, how our product would change.
This is what helps us to devise different futures. My product won't always be the same, my business idea won't always be the same and I'm capable of evolving. I can even see it coming and I can think ahead. Or that I have the ability or I have a business idea or product that can adapt to different situations. In a service, the levels we need to devise are many more, because we also need to devise how that service will be paid for. Where will that service be? How will it be reached? How will they know how to use? How will they interact with it? If it is a space, how will they move in it? When we prototype products, we're interested in seeing how they use that particular product. It is something much more tangible. That's why when we create prototypes for products, we have to add more details about the type of material it will have, the type of finish it will have, what type of ergonomics, how it is used. A very important part of prototyping is knowing what we're doing that prototype for and what we want to achieve with it. So we need to know very clearly before prototyping, what we'll do and how we'll measure if the prototype works or not. That is, if we're measuring whether it is ergonomic or not, it's very easy because we can see if we can hold it or not, but when we are prototyping a part of a service, how do we measure if the prototype is valid or not? We need to know very clearly what type of reaction we expect or what type of feedback we would like. The clearer it is for us the type of feedback that we need from the client and what we need to test, more direct or focused the prototype will be. Therefore, it's very important that before prototyping we know clearly what we think will happen, and how we'll verify it and what we're doing to verify it, how we'll measure that, if that is a yes or a no to test the prototype and then see if it has worked or not, if we are right or not, or whether what we thought would happen has happened that way or not really and whether that is sufficient or not. It is also important to learn from each prototype. That we know clearly that we thought this would happen and it did or not. If it didn't, we have observed that it can be held in a different way or that they move differently within the space, or they don't know how to use our service or they like it, but maybe they don't want to pay for it. So we have to see, well, we've learned this and we're going to change that, or not, or we'll keep that part and we'll pivot this one.